The Supreme Court gavelled in this week for its first term with a docket full of high-profile cases, with questions ranging from affirmative action to gay rights.
The Honorable, the Chief Justice and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. Oh, yay, oh, yay, oh, yay.
Justices kicked off a potentially tumultuous term with arguments in a case that asks whether the EPA can regulate wetlands that are not connected to federal waters.
Taking a look at the calendar right now, they're starting things off with a case concerning the authority of the Environmental Protection Agency. So you may recall that during the last term, the Supreme Court ruled to limit the EPA's power to curb emissions. Up for debate this time around is the agency's authority to decide on what waters are protected by the Clean Water Act.
Next up, the Supreme Court will hear arguments in a case concerning the redistricting process and voting rights, two hot-button issues.
They'll look at the electoral map in Alabama and examine whether changes made there have made it harder for black voters to have the same weight.
Other high-profile cases this term involve the question of whether universities can have race-based admissions in the name of affirmative action, and whether a religious web designer should be forced to make a wedding website for a same-sex couple. And this week, the Supreme Court said it would take up a big tech case focused on whether social media platforms should face legal liability for the content posted by users. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson joins the bench for the first time this week.
She took the judicial oath Friday at a special sitting of the Supreme Court and said she is humbled and ready to get to work.
But a crisis of legitimacy still faces the court, driven by skepticism of its conservative majority among Democrats. Justices have continued to defend the Supreme Court's integrity after its landmark abortion ruling in June that scrambled abortion law across the country. Sarah Westwood for the Washington Examiner.